Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. I am back making another pot. Now, if you saw a couple videos back, I bought myself a wreath making kit from Amazon and I put it in resin and I was absolutely in love with the results. We had a couple of little errors along the way, but it didn't actually take away from anything. It came out stunning. This time around I want to try it. I want to try and add more into it, and equally I want to use a different method. Now I am just using bulldog clips at this point to hold the pot together because honestly these little nuts and bolts, they are aggravating. I'm not even gonna lie, my nails are too long, they're fiddly and all of that jazz, so I'm literally just using bulldog clips. Now in the last pot video I kept the center out because I was trying to manipulate the center point and move the silicone to get everything down. This time around I'm leaving it in. It is so much more easier to leave it in. Now this just means that the pot is going to be solid from the off, and when I left it out and tried to put the insert back in, it didn't go in all the way and I had an air bubble between the bottom of the pot. Anyway, go back and watch that video. It was a whole thing, but came out amazingly. Now, not only am I adding the acorns into this pot, I'm also adding more berries. We lost a lot of berries from the last pot because they floated, but in this time around I'm gonna add more clusters, so I know they're gonna actually stay, you know. So I am wrapping 5 berries or 3 berries, wrapping them around each other with those wires, and then they're gonna actually be wedged down the sides because that is how I know they're actually going to stay in. Now with the acorns, I realized I spoke about the acorns in the last video and you hadn't seen it yet, so you're probably thinking, acorns? What acorns? What is she talking about? Oh my gosh, I'm so silly. This is what I was talking about. Basically, I want to cut the acorns, but not enough, like not in half. I want to just slice some off the side because if I cut them in half, they're gonna float. They're gonna easily come back up. But cutting some just off the side is actually going to hold them down in place, hold them down. Some of you did suggest about using UV resin to hold the berries down the sides and in place. I guess that would be possible for sure. I just didn't know if it would work as well, but it's definitely something I want to try. I'm not going to try it in this video though, but I am definitely going to try that in the future projects to see if that works. Now the different technique we're using in this video is that we are pouring the resin first. This was where it kind of went wrong but all worked out in the last pot video, and we are packing it in, like packing it all in. Now I do get messy in this video, in this creation. I do get messy. And that's okay, okay? I was okay with it. I accepted it because for me to be able to pack everything in here, I had to get messy. There was no way around it. Just make sure you've got your gloves on and please make sure you've got your PPE. Now, the cinnamon sticks, I have 3 left at this point. Only 3 left. I have practically used them up on the tray and the pot that you saw previously. And the biggest cinnamon stick won't fit in the pot, and I was most sad about it. So at this point I've just taken my gloves back off to start building up my clusters. So these are the berries that I'm no longer just putting down on their own. I'm going to actually wire 3 or 5 together to create little clusters, and that is going to give us just so much more redness. You know, in the last video you'll know that a lot of my berries floated up and I didn't get all of the berries that I wanted down and in. Now we are back to what is left of the Christmas tree sprigs, and I'm simply cutting off the remainder of those. I am putting some berries down on their own, but because I know how much I'm going to be wedging and packing things into this, I don't mind. So I'm hoping that because I'm not moving the pot, I am not moving the pot, not one bit. It is how it is now. I'm hoping that those berries will stay in place. Now with the acorns, I am coating them in resin first, because what's going to happen is I'm going to wedge things down. The resin won't get between that piece of fruit or something and the silicone. So then when we demold, we're going to have holes on the outside because there's going to be no resin. I've come to terms with that. I think that's going to add to the handmade rustic nature of it. Equally, I need to pack everything in. So I figured if I dip the acorns and dip the things before I put them in, then if they do wedge up against the side in a strong way, then we won't get as many holes. Like, it won't be as bad. So I do end up dipping the acorns, and I end up dipping some of the orange slices. Then when I put the orange slices in, I'm putting them down over the berries in the hope that it's going to push the berries down, hold the berries down, and do all of the things, you know, that I didn't do in the last video. Because in the last video, I made the biggest error of moving the silicone after. And of course, everything was like, we're free. We're going to float to the top now. Yeah, just don't do that. Just basically don't be like me. Now, you can already see at this point the distortion in the pot. So this is where I'm getting messy, guys. I am getting messy. I am shoving everything down the sides. I am packing it in. My whole hand, like every finger, is going down those sides to make sure that I have really and truly wedged everything down and in. And we're going to get the most spectacularly winter result. I'm gonna say winter because so many of you were right. Like, this could be a whole winter pot. And guys, so many of you said about the snow lanterns, the ice lanterns, how these reminded you of ice lanterns. I had never heard of these. My patrons said it to me last week when I showed them the results of all of these. And I was like, oh, I need to Google that. I need to look that up. Very, very common in Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and very common. Oh my gosh, they look stunning. That is not something we ever did here. Well, I mean, really, we didn't get the ice, I guess. But I suppose you freeze them in your own freezer, right? How cool would that be to buy one of these pots that has never been contaminated with resin? Buy a fresh pot, put water in it, put all your fruit in it, put it in your freezer, and you've got an ice lantern. I mean, worth trying. Ooh. Or just put your wreath making kit in it, because at the end of the day, you're not eating it. It's just going to be a lantern. How cool. Anyway, back to the video. I was struggling here. I was really struggling here because I was trying to wedge things down. Some things weren't going, some things were floating. I could already see the distortion of the pot, but it was a case of picking my battles and trusting the process and just allowing it to all be. Because I just felt like whatever struggles I am experiencing whilst trying to wedge everything, then it's okay that it's all still going to be okay. Because you can't chuck a load of beautiful things into something and it come out ugly. It just can't happen. So yeah, pick your battles. If the things fit, let them fit. If they don't fit, take them back out and that's okay. So yes, this was messy. This was really, really messy. It was sticky and gloopy. But of course I've got my gloves on, so I am safe. It's worth it though, guys. It's so worth it. So worth it. Now, in the last video, you'll know that I had issues with the way the silicone was sitting, so I had to wedge my silicone tools down the sides. That was introducing all of that white into the clear, and it wasn't something I wanted to do, but the results were still stunning. This time around, I was hoping that there'd be more of a divide, and we shall see. Now, obviously, this cinnamon stick cannot fit down the sides, and it was floating. I was just going to leave it at the top, guys, I'm not going to lie, but it floated right up. No point in keeping it in there, so I'm just cleaning it off, and this is going to be used for a future project. And this is it. All I'm doing here is cleaning around the edges, and this is a 24 hours later, and guys, I was not ready. I was not ready. This pot, despite the distortion, is absolutely everything I wanted it to be. Everything that I didn't do in the last video and I did in this video because I wanted it to be a certain kind of way. Oh my goodness. Look at this huge dent. The distortion was visible, but again, no. Trust the process. Trust your gut. Trust that what you've done is going to be stunning. Absolutely. Immediately wow. Immediately wow. Everything. I loved everything. The berries mainly. The berries, for me, are like the main star of the show. This section, stop it. It's like a Christmas card. Like an actual Christmas card. The berries, for me. And yeah, you saw me wedge this last bit of tree branch in. I thought, well, you know, I'm not going to use this again. I'm not going to throw it in the bin. Might as well wedge it in there and have a play. But look how the white travelled down through that gap and interacted with the clear. I didn't expect that. I totally didn't expect that. But the berries totally worked. Like wedging all of the berries together, creating little bouquets and clusters of those berries absolutely worked. It kept them down in place, and you can see here this whole section with that last little dreg of tree branch. I shoved it in, and that has completely blocked any white from making its way past, which says I need to make another pot. Maybe not this year. But imagine putting all of your clear, all of your fruit, your berries, your acorns in, and then completely and utterly making a complete circle of those tree branches to be the dividing line between the clear and the cloudy. Now, I've got a flat lip on this pot because we did it properly this time, and that's what it's meant to look like. I'm so in love. This literally makes my heart flutter. This section, that section there, I just can't get over it. Honestly, it is like a Christmas card. I cannot explain it. Now, you can really see the distortion from the bottom of the pot, but we do have some overspill. And once that overspill is sorted, it looks so much better. But this, I don't know what else to say. This section here is a dream. It is a total dream. The way the acorns are sitting, the way the Christmas tree sprig is, the orange slices. Look at it. Oh, it's just pinch me. Pinch me. I absolutely love it. Okay, we are going to clean up the bottom of the pot. But let me take you on a tour of the whole pot before we do that. I think for me, you know, clustering the berries together was an absolute must. If you're gonna do this, cluster them so they don't float up. Some of the acorns got lost. Some of the everything kind of got clouded over. We've got only 2 cinnamon sticks in this pot and they were half covered. But it was really interesting for me to see how the white sank, because I didn't expect that, I guess. It is going to be heavier because it has got mica in it. So naturally you're adding more into it, therefore it's going to be heavier than the clear resin. But yeah, it was interesting to me because that's the kind of result I got in the last video when I actually physically wedged something down and made them interact. We've got lots and lots of distortion in this pot. We've got acorns that are sticking out the side. You would have seen that just as I, started to demold. You saw the dink. You saw the dink in there. We've got acorns sticking out of the pot. We've got a couple of air pockets where the items in there didn't quite allow resin to get in and around it, so there are air pockets in it. The bottom of the pot looks oval now, but when you turn the pot over and you look at it from a different angle and you look at it from above, it's not noticeable. It is not noticeable. It was absolutely fully worth it still. And once you've got your plant in here or your Christmas lights to make a lantern, or however you're going to use this, you won't notice the distortion. You just will not. More tree sprigs for sure. I did get one of you lovelies saying that you're just a bit sad that I didn't use real tree pines with this. Real pines. That would have been stunning. Can you guys imagine real pine? That honestly would have been a dream. Sadly for me, it was such a last minute thing because I just did my wreath making class 2 weeks ago. It was such a last minute thing for me to quickly buy the kit and shove it all in. I it would have taken weeks for me to dry out some pine needles, but I am with you. It would have looked absolutely stunning with real pine needles in here. Let me know your thoughts. Now, of course, you're going to see the polystyrene on the inside of the acorn, but once your plant is in here, you're not going to see that. Once whatever you're putting in here, you're not going to see that. So I thought about using acrylic paint to make them brown on the other side, but that was an additional step I didn't want to wait for. When you're never going to see the inside, you're not going to leave the inside of the pot empty. The whole point is to fill the pot. So that for me was an additional step I didn't feel I needed to take. I absolutely love this one. I prefer this pot over the first pot. Let me know if you do, or I love them both, don't get me wrong, I just prefer this one. I hope you feel inspired. I am so grateful to you all. Thank you all for still being here. If you're still here at the end, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I appreciate you all. I will see you next time.